as we know, Carolyne is not in Egypt yet, but she will shortly be on her way to Egypt. But the fun doesn't stop at the HR party. So we will be talking to you today about some truly horror cases that we've had, and then the usual question and answer. So I believe Siji would like to kick off.
Yeah, so I had a interesting call from a club manager last week who said that, and I won't go into all the details because some of them aren't the nicest things you want to hear, but essentially they found out that one of their greenkeepers has been having inappropriate conversations online. Like just it's not too specific, but the person that they've been having them with, they're not the same age, is the best way to put it, right? So he says this in front of all the rest of the greenkeepers. Everyone, shock horror, is like, what on earth is going on here? That's not right. Report it to the GM. Now, the reason I wanted to bring it up is I think the club handled the initial situation quite well. I think it's probably a good way or a good template in this type of situation to use. So what they found out is this person is raised to the rest of the greenkeepers. I've been speaking to someone online. We are very different ages and they are a minor. The club immediately, the head greenkeeper immediately takes it to the GM, raises it. So he could have sat on it. He could have said, oh, that's not right, or da-da-da-da, but no, he took it straight away because he knew that this might be serious. GM called us straight away, said, what do we do? I said, okay, based on the information that we've got here, we don't know a lot of what has happened. All we know is that he said something, so investigation meeting. That's what that's for us to get the initial detail. Club hold the investigation. The employee is claiming that the conversations are completely clean, that there's nothing sinister happening here, and it just so happens that they're friends. Having taken witness statements then, so the club then realized, oh, he said this in front of other people, let's corroborate. So they take witness statements from the other greenkeepers. Turns out that this employee also said, if anyone's got a problem with this, like, let's go outside, like, I'll fight you about it. So now we could have had a situation where the club sat on this for a really long time. It could have turned out to be a major problem and we would have found out after the fact. But instead, they were proactive all the time, always asking questions, always raising it to us. And now we found out that they've made threats against other people and that there's an issue online that we can deal with. So in case you're ever in similar situations that are like a bit murky and we're not exactly sure what's going on, please call us and let us know like as soon as we can do, because it's easier for us to call and go through a situation at the time than fix the problem after the fact and work out whatever's been missed. But I'll keep you up to date. It looks like we're going to go to disciplinary on this one, at least for the threat, if not for anything else inappropriate that we find. But I'll keep you guys up to date.
Okay. Thanks, CG. Maybe want to add to that, and he might have said that at the beginning when I came in a minute late. But you know, if you do find something like this and you feel it's something you should report to the police, you are fully within your right to do so. You are not breaching any GDPR nonsense or anything like that. You know, any person becomes aware of something like this could report it to the police. I'm going to talk to you today about COVID. It's been a while. It's been summer. We haven't heard too much about it, but there are new variants. People are getting ill. You know, it looks like there's going to be another winter wave of this, just like with every other flu. And so I thought I'd update you a little bit on where we are with it and what you can and can't do as an employer. So, first of all, you cannot make your staff take a test. You can ask them to take a test voluntarily. You can explain the benefits of them taking a test so that, you know, they know if they're infectious or whatever. But if they say no, thank you, nothing you can do. If they do take a test voluntarily and they test positive, what do you do then? You can ask employees to stay home. The guidance at the moment is 5 days from testing. But you can ask employees to stay home. However, if you ask your employee to stay home because they have COVID, you have to pay them in full, not sick pay, in full. Because they are willing to work, just like they might be with a cold or a backache. And you are the one asking them to stay home. So therefore, they should not be worse off by getting SSP or something. You'll have to pay them in full. The other thing is, if they contact you and say, I've taken a test, I'm positive, I'm really ill, I want to stay home, then it's SSP. You treat it just like every other sickness. So calling in with COVID at the moment is just like calling in with a bad tummy or a migraine or a flu. And you treat it exactly the same way. You know, you don't say to the employee, okay, fine, but you know, you need to stay home for 5 days. If the employee then comes back to work after 3, you're gonna have to go roll with that, or you're gonna ask them to actually, you know what, it's only been 3 days since you tested positive. Can I ask you to stay home another 2? I'll pay you. So that's the golden rule. You want them to stay home, you pay them in full. They call in sick, you treat it like any other sickness. You can ask them to test, but you can't make them. Them are the rules right now. We'll let you know if anything changes, but it's very unlikely, because it really is just treated like any other flu now. Any questions about any of that?
Yes, I have a quick question. So, because I have exactly this dilemma at the moment, because we are in healthcare, and obviously we see other people, is there not a duty of care if someone, let's say someone doesn't feel too bad, but they've got they've tested positive, and we say, okay, and they say, well, I feel fit enough to work. Do we allow them to, I mean, we wear masks anyway, but do we allow them to come into work, or is that not, is there some sort of ethical situation here, or some duty of care thing because they've got it?
So at the moment, you need to, and I'm talking about your business, because your business is slightly different from everyone else who's on the call at the moment. Your business, you would treat this just like if they had flu. It would be exactly the same thing. Sure, it's flu called COVID, but you know, you would treat it exactly the same way. So there isn't any special allowance for it, unfortunately. I expect that for your line of business, that might change as we go deeper into winter. If there is another, you know, if there are other variants and if there's another big wave of it, then I expect maybe in the health industry, we would see some changes to that. But generally, I don't expect it to be in the, you know, in other businesses outside of healthcare. But at the moment, there isn't anything.
Okay.
Mark,
just on that bit, so where you have to, if you want them to stay off, and they say they're going to use the COVID word and things away, can you then ask for proof?
No. So do you mean if they call in and say I have COVID?
Yeah.
No, because you have to treat it like every other thing. So if someone called in and said I had a migraine, would you say, can you send me proof? You got to treat it the same way. Now remember, the same applies. So they can self-certify for up to 7 days, and after that they will need a GP note. The same goes. I suppose what I'm trying to say is, you can't treat COVID any different from anything else in your business right now if an employee calls in sick with it. So no, you can't say, well, I want to see the test. Yeah, unfortunately you can't. Okay?
Yep.
Right, Laura.
So I just wanted to give you a quick update. So recently we've spoken about a big sexual harassment case that was going on for quite a while, and we've taken action and different sanctions that they wanted to issue, etc. But I just wanted to make you aware that a new bit of legislation has just been given royal assent, which is called the Worker Protection Act 2023. This is essentially, it means that companies from next October, when it comes into force, have to be able to demonstrate that they have taken reasonable steps to prevent sexual harassment happening in their business. This could mean training for employees, or anything like that. It's not just good enough to have, say, a policy on it that says this won't be tolerated. You have to take reasonable steps to prevent it. If you're not able to prove that after this point next year, if a tribunal claim is potentially brought against you, there's now an uplift of 25% if you can't demonstrate that you've taken reasonable steps to prevent it in the first place. We'll be doing some work around that here, and potentially making recommendations on what reasonable steps will look like. But I just wanted to sort of give a heads up quite a while in advance. It's something that's going to come in the future, so it's best to get on top of it now, really.
What date was that?
It's October 24. That this specific bit of legislation is coming into effect. But realistically, businesses should be taking reasonable steps to prevent sexual harassment now. But it's more around this bit of legislation is going to sort of force companies to make sure they are taking reasonable steps. Because if sexual harassment does happen, and they go all the way to a tribunal, if a judge found that companies didn't take the reasonable steps in the first place, not only will they be given compensation based on what's happened and their injury to feelings, it can be uplifted by 25% if they feel that businesses didn't take any steps to begin with. Yeah. Any questions around that? Straightforward.
So we are all looking at training courses and going on some training courses to see if there's any that we could then recommend to you, because like I say, having a policy is not going to be enough from October. So we're going to see if there's any good training courses that we can recommend to you. Ideally, we want kind of bite-sized, because this is going to be training that you'd have to do with all your staff, and it might even be at sort of regular intervals as well. So we're going to have a look at what's out there, and then make some recommendations. So it's just, again, to give you the heads up, they will look at not just the action you took when the incident took place, it's how you prevented it. And your mind always goes to, well, how could I prevented it? So we will obviously be looking into this, getting some guidance, and sharing that with you. But yeah, just a heads up, we're all going on some training courses soon, so we're going to be even more of an expert in the matter, but we hope to send you some recommendations from that. Perfect. Any questions on anything, really? Opening up. Melanie?
Which one?
Oh, did you both put your hands up?
Okay, let the other Melanie go first. I'll go after.
I'm getting quite a lot of breakages in F&B, and it seems to be increased over the last kind of 6 months.
Okay.
So the food and beverage manager and I have had a little chat about it, about what we can do. And she said, well, maybe we can have a competition and a negative competition about who gets gold stars. And I said, right, I think I need to raise this on the call, because I don't think we can do that, because you potentially could have to take action on it. So it has to be done properly. Is there anything we can do, or is it just one of those things that accidents happen and we just have to write it off? But we've had more breakages in the last 6 months than we have had in the last 3.5 years.
Okay. So I said that the friendly competition can land you in hot water, because let's say, for example, we're talking about glasses. Okay, great. Person A, really steady hands, doesn't smash the glasses. Person B, health condition, shaky, drops the glasses. It's going to, I wouldn't recommend that. Yeah. Or they might attribute it to strength. I can pick more up than you and things. I wouldn't do that.
No, that's what I said. That's what I said.
Yeah.
I said, that's why I need to bring it onto the call.
So I guess it kind of might be a letting the team know that, look, we have seen an unusual amount of breakages, and putting things in place. So I say you might have to go back to basics. don't put too many glasses on the tray that you're carrying. Make sure that, you know, you're cleaning the empties. You're not just putting them on the bar so someone can nudge them off. You might just have to go right back to basics training here. And then if you've got someone, if you could pinpoint it on someone who is perhaps, let's say, clumsy, it'll be an individual conversation with them to say, this is what I've noticed. Do you need any help? Do you need any support? And then they might open up. It might be something else, or they might just be clumsy like me. Don't rely on me to carry glasses. They will end up on the floor. So I'd probably be doing that conversation and going back to basics than the friendly competition. If it's carelessness or maliciousness, then they are covered in your handbook. But if it is accidents, I think you need to be looking at why. Are people perhaps feeling a bit too rushed, putting too much on the trays, not looking where they're going? Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I'd rule out the competition.
Yeah, no, I understand. I've said we can't do that. I said because it doesn't, and we have already started that, and we've already been working on the, you know, it has increased. It's on the group chat. Please be more careful when you're carrying stuff. And there is one particular member of staff who's just said, I'm just really heavy-handed and I am clumsy. But that doesn't make that it's right. But unfortunately, it's not just them. They are carrying the majority of it. However, as a result of that, there are other members of staff who are like, well, when they break something, it's almost like, well, it doesn't really matter because this other person has broken more type of thing.
Right, okay, yeah. So it might even be then you need to go into the individual conversations. So the person who says they're heavy-handed, okay, but say to them, okay, but this is property. Property costs money. Yeah, this is, if you break 10 glasses, this costs us, you know, £20. Don't be heavy-handed, you know, take time. Only if it's maliciousness. If it's an accident, you wouldn't. But if you can, you know, if they're deliberately doing it, you've got the policies in the handbook. But if it's an accident, no. But I think this person, if they're just saying it's how I am, you kind of need to say to them, well, you need to start taking more care because you're breaking our property, and that impacts money, and money impacts, you know, bonus, pay right. Do you know what I mean? Put some money. If you've got to put some monetary value on it, they're not telling you it's because of a disability. So you can get a bit stronger and say, well, that's not a good enough excuse. Take care.
But by the sounds of things, they can just carry on doing it and we can't really do anything about it.
I won't say you can do anything about it. I think long term you could end up in some kind of performance if it is a case of they are just being careless. Yeah, if you could witness that. So I mean, would be handy if you could see when it is happening to see what it is.
I see it all the time. It's like 3 times, 4 times a week. That's how often it's happening.
So what are they doing? Are they just slamming things down? Like, what are you observing?
It's carelessness. It's knocking. It's not putting cups back on the shelf properly. So not making sure they're on the shelf.
Yeah,
and then putting them on the top and they're falling off, or open a fridge and a bottle falls out and it smashes, or they put the stuff on the top and they take it off but they don't put it away properly. So it's almost like they're not finishing the task properly.
Okay.
Or they're not securing it.
So really, I think you could put this under performance, but I mean, I'd be tempted to bring in health and safety. If you are not storing items correctly and that item falls and hurts someone, you're responsible because you haven't put it away. So I think you can get a bit tougher in the performance route. So even, you know, investigation meetings, call it an investigation meeting. You know, I'm not saying to you now do a disciplinary, but just start getting the individual meetings, the issues it's causing, what you've observed. You know, I watched you put that bottle away and it's still hanging off the shelf. That's dangerous. You know, why did you do that? That could have seriously hurt someone. Absolutely start having those conversations.
Okay.
Yeah,
we've done it informally so far. But it's got to the point where it's not getting any better, and it's like I don't actually know where we can go with this because genuinely accidents do happen. It's just one of those things, but it's just so noticeable. Such a massive increase compared to what's happened before. It's like, and it's almost like, oh, here we go again. There's another one. It's like we're at that stage. So. Okay.
I mean, you know, your investigation. We know investigations are informal, but as soon as you turn that tape recorder on, that it's giving them the signs. Like, oh, hang on a second. Absolutely call it an investigation meeting. Yeah, this is an investigation about this. We've had this discussion. This is what I witnessed. This is not safe. You could have caused a serious accident. Yeah, put the pressure on. Okay. Ultimately, if it continues, we could end up down a disciplinary route. as long as we're ruling out any sort of health condition or disability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, try that. Thanks.
Perfect. Melanie Pointer.
Thank you. I know in the past and many times people go over things like onboarding new staff and inductions and all those sorts of things. What's the situation if you've got somebody who's been working with you, but they're now taking a step up or having a promotion and the role is going to be changing and having more responsibility? How would you sort of induct that, or what sort of training and things would you put in place, or what sort of things? Because I think there's two things. There's the actual practical, making sure they're trained to do the next level, but then there's also the thing where it's very easy to carry on as they are because they're already in the program, etc., etc. So from my perspective, it's a case that I want to get the expectations right, because if they're going to be paid a substantial amount more, I want to get more value. So I need to make sure they don't just carry on doing what they're doing plus a few extra bits.
Okay. So firstly, I would be saying trial period. If you are we've had a few clients get stuck on this where they've verbally agreed that this is a trial period of stepping up into promotion for 3 months, and it's not in writing, which means unfortunately it's not a trial period. They are permanently promoted to that role. So I would be saying first, agree a trial period if this is a substantial jump in responsibility. Have that in writing, because if they don't pass the trial period, or even before then, you then have the rights to put them back into their substantive post. Yeah, they're not stuck in that promotion. That'd be first and foremost. Secondly, obviously making sure there is a job description which is very clear on the responsibilities, and even KPIs, a separate document for that. So you can then have the meeting that this is my expectations of you in this role. They're not in probation, but you could treat it like a probation, that you're then having regular reviews and reviewing their performance, especially if they're on a trial period. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a standard letter for this trial period thing that you're saying?
Do we have a standard one? I'm looking at Nadia now. We have a letter we can do for you, but it's not going to be a template one, is it? Because it's going to be all too many variables. So we can do a letter for you, Melanie, if you give us the details. So we just need.
What details do you need? Do I just email Nadia or something?
Yeah, email in. So obviously the name, the position they're going to and from, the date, and how long you want the trial period to be.
And what's reasonable for the trial period?
3 months.
3 months from management. If
3 months.
Also things that might change. So it kind of, we would incorporate the trial period with the promotion letter. And the change in terms and conditions letter. So also anything that changes, holiday, working hours, salary, that stuff, anything that changes, let us know what all of that is, and then we can draft the letter for you.
Perfect. Yeah, I have agreed changing hours and stuff, so that's fine. All right, thank you.
Any more questions? So I actually have a question for our golf clubs. I don't know the answer. So one of our golf clubs wants to introduce a ban on buggies while it is wet, because it's ruining the course. I've got smiles now, and they are having a lot of pushback from the members. So we've kind of discussed that, if you deem it's not safe and you've done a risk assessment, then safety prevails above anything else. But if it's more of the sense of it's ruining the course, I just wanted to ask you to know, do you also put these bans in place and only have sort of strict restrictions? And then, if you have a disability, okay, but otherwise no. And yeah, that is normal practice, Mark.
Yeah, I think, the big thing is around the disability. If it's just you or I who want to go for a game of golf and use a buggy, then we can't and things away. And we take buggies off at certain times due to the ground conditions and the damage it causes. We have and then we sort of goes to trolleys and then carry only as well. And it's we have a policy, but we've always tried to stay away from things away because of the disability thing, because we were probably incorrect in what we were doing really. And because the ones that have a disability say, well, if I can't play, then no one should play. And then it's like, okay, we'll close the course then. Things away for the 3 or 4 of you who've got we've got about 4 or 5 who've got their own individual ride-ons.
Yeah.
So we now allow them to use them when trolleys are on. When we take trolleys off, it is for the health and safety of everyone, and that includes them as well. So then we don't allow anyone, regardless of whatever disability card they want to throw at us, because it's done on health and safety grounds.
Okay.
But it is a bit of a can of worms.
We do it slightly differently, similarly, but slightly differently. So we have the health and safety. That means everybody's off. Yeah. So if it's too dangerous, or there's areas of the course which are too dangerous, we try and do, same as Mark, we will always try and go down that route because it keeps it easy for everybody. If you're going into course protection, which again, we try not to. Yeah. If it's course protection, then we don't allow normal buggies. We don't allow ride-ons, personal buggies. So a buggy for us is classified as our buggies and individual owned buggies. But we have a buggy policy which stipulates what you can and can't do, and they've got to sign before they go out. We also have a disability policy for buggies. So those people who are disabled, who can only play golf on a buggy, we have a separate course. So we will allow them to play 4 holes. Okay. If only if it is for protection of the course. So for us, the 4 safest holes are 1, 9, 10 and 18. So they can play that as many times as they like. Yeah. But it's only permitted for those people that hold a blue badge, and we have them on file, which is less than half a dozen people. Okay. And touch wood, none of them have ever said they want to go out and play, but we would allow them, and there's a little map that says where they can take their buggies, and they can only play those 4 holes. So we're not discriminating against people with disabilities because it's for course protection. If it's for health and safety, same as Mark, it covers everybody. Okay, perfect. Yeah, we kind of said health and safety prevails, but this was for the course protection. It doesn't sound like the member has disability. So they've just pushing back, said, well, your Greens are driving buggies. That's not fair. So that's been really helpful. Thank you. I said I would ask. Yeah. So on our disability policy, there is also a section that you can refer somebody off to the GP and get the GP to sign it to say that they are permitted to play. We try and avoid that because obviously that will open up a can of worms. Yeah. So we stick with those people that have got a blue badge or certified as disabled are the only people that we will allow out, and those we don't advertise it to everybody. We just give the policies to those individual people. I've had people come from another course with that bit of paper saying my doctor says I am not allowed to play golf without a buggy, and I've got this bit of paper. So that's when it makes it a little bit tricky, because I also have that bit of paper, but I haven't given it to them because otherwise it gets out of hand. Because a lot of our seniors could go along to the doctors and say, can you sign this form for me? Absolutely. So that's
the problem, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And you'll end up having your entire senior section saying that they need to take a buggy out, which is then why we try and go down the health and safety route, because it's blanket everybody. No, so really it's a very, very tricky one. I also had somebody referred who the doctor got really shirty because they had to fill in a form to allow somebody to do exercise. And that was, again, that's another view that the doctor's going, why am I wasting my time signing a bit of paper in order for somebody to be able to play golf? Yeah. But it's a bit of a touchy. Look at Mark smiling. Yeah, it's a bit of a.
I can imagine. Yeah, it sounds like they're having a nightmare already.
Yeah, ask no questions. Tell their lies, isn't
it? This is a very interesting one because I think in the time I've worked for Golf HR, this is a conversation that's come up every winter, and unfortunately, we never ever get to a point where we have a perfect solution, do we? But yeah, continue talking about it. And Mel, we'd be very grateful if you shared what you have, because it sounds like others could use it as well.
Lovely. Thank you. Well, have a lovely rest of the week, 1.5 days, and a lovely weekend, and we will speak to you next week, if not before. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
May I just ask before
sure.
before you go?
Yeah, sure.
Is Sidgy still on? I've been invited to this meeting. Hi, Mark. I've been invited to this meeting from our president-elect, and I received an invitation to it. I wasn't quite sure what to expect. It's been very useful. Thank you for the invitation.
That's okay.
I don't know if you don't know me. I work for the Essex Golf Union, the governing body for amateur golf in the county, and we have a potential requirement for your services. So would it be possible to maybe hang on the meeting afterwards and speak to Sidgy? I did try to contact Carolyne yesterday, but I understand holiday.
So Sidgy has gone off, but I can get him to give you a call, because I think you called us yesterday, didn't you?
I did indeed, yeah.
Yes, I could get him to give you a call. Are you available now?
I'm available all day.
Okay, I'll get him to give you a call.
Thank you very much indeed.
Perfect. Bye,
Very
everyone.
useful. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. If you want a free tribunal audit of your employment contract and handbook, click the link in the description below.